Good morning. This is Randy back in the shop, and today we're going to be filing piston rings for the new 400 build. This past Thursday I went to the machine shop and I picked up the crankshaft rods and pistons from them, getting them balanced, and now we can continue on with the engine assembly. But the next part of the process is to file the piston rings to the cylinder bore. The reason you have to do that is when I buy piston rings, I buy them 5 thousandths oversized, and then you need to put the ring down in the bore and use a feeler gauge and check the end gap. The reason you need end gap is if the piston ring is to butt together. This is one of the rings here. If this ring butts together like this right here, what it will actually do is it will stick in the cylinder. It will tear the cylinder up, and most of the time it will pull the top of the piston apart, break the ring land, break the top of the piston. You need different size gap for say naturally aspirated. On this motor here, I'm going to set the piston rings at 20 thousandths on the top, 22 thousandths on the second, and then the three-piece oil ring, which is this here. These come, and I put them down in the bore, and I have 15 thousandths clearance between the scraper rail, which is this here. I have a 15 thousandths gap, and at the top of the piston, the reason you need to put more end gap on the piston for say supercharger or procharger or nitrous is because of the heat. You're creating more cylinder pressure, more heat, and that heat will expand the ring, and so then you need to open the gap up so that the ends of the ring do not touch. Bring it back in just a minute. All right, we're back over at the engine here. Move this camera here a little bit so you can kind of see what's going on here. This here is the piston ring, and the top ring has this shiny part here is what they call plasma moly, which helps the ring seat and also helps the wear. They make different kinds of rings. This is a 16th inch ring. A lot of the newer stuff will be a 1.5 millimeter, and it'll be, so it's thinner. It's thinner also radially this way, and a lot of those are like a tool steel ring. This is basically a cast ring with a plasma moly in the center of it. And what you do is you take the ring here, like this here, you push the ends together like so, and then you turn it to the side like that there, so you don't scratch the cylinder walls. And then this, I take a piston here, and this piston is flat top, so I use a piston here to push the ring down in the bore to square it up. And as you can see, I've got barely enough gap right here, right down here, where I can barely fit my fingernail in it. This is a 20 thousandths feeler gauge, and it will not even go in the groove. I measured them before, and it's like 2 thousandths gap. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull this ring back out of the bore. I'll bring you over to the bench, and I'll show you how we file them. Be right back. All right, we're back over at the bench, and this is my piston ring filer. It has a little clamp right here that you put the ring in like so, and you can move it back, and you tighten the clamp down. And this little screw right here is got a little eccentric on it, and you adjust that so that when you put your ring in the holder, your ring is square to the grinding wheel. You can see right there that ring is sitting square to the wheel. And then what you do is set your dial indicator at 0. And we're going to turn the machine on, and we're going to file this here. I have about a 2/1000 gap right now, so I'm going to file 18 thousandths, between 17 and 18 thousandths off the ring, and then we're going to put it back in the bore and recheck the gap. Here we go. I'm going to put just a light amount of pressure on that, and then when I release the pressure, I want that indicator needle to stay right on about 17 thousandths, right there. Let that run for just a minute here. Okay, we shut it off. Pull this out of the ring filer. And what happens is when you grind the ring, you will actually create a burr on the edge here. So I just come over here with a flat stone, and I lightly stone it, and I can feel that burr come off almost instantly. Do it on the bottom, do a little bit on the top. And I take one of these carbide sharpening stones, and what I'll do is I'll just lightly touch up the edge on here, on the outside edge, and then on the inside edge, like that there. And I feel it to make sure that there's no burrs, nothing sharp, nothing catching on there. And then we'll put it back in the bore and we measure it. Be right back. All right, we're back at the engine block. I've got the gap set here, pushed together with my fingers, turn the ring to the side, square the ring up with the piston, push the piston ring down in the bore about an inch and a quarter, and now you can see I've got more of a gap here. Now I take our feeler gauge with a 20 thousandths feeler gauge and check it to see if it fits, and it doesn't quite fit yet. Almost is going to fit. So I'm going to take this ring back out, and I'm going to file it a little bit more and bring you right back. All right, I'm back. I went back to the ring filer. I took another thousandths off the piston ring, push it down in the bore, turn it sideways like such, square it back up with the piston, and we'll check it again. Still doesn't quite fit. Let's see here what size it actually is now. Try a 17 here. Try a 17 thousandths feeler gauge here. See if this fits. Okay, a 17 just fits. So in order for a 20 to to fit, I got to take another 3/1000 off. As you can see that feeler gauge is going down in there. Okay, I'm going to take this ring back out, go back to the ring filer, and file it a little bit more, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Check this ring one more time here. Push it down on the borer and turn it sideways. And square it up with the piston. That way you know the ring's relatively square in the bore. And we'll check it with the 20/1000 now and see if it fits. Here we go. And the ring, the feeler gauge just slides in. Make sure that that's still good. Just a tad bit tight. No, it's starting, but not quite. Probably got to take another 0.5 off. So I will do that, and as soon as I get it finished up, I'll bring it right back. All right, I'm back. I got the ring back down in the cylinder. Take our feeler gauge here, and it slides in just like that. And it's a little bit, there's a little bit of drag on it. You can just barely feel it. That's what you want. The reason you don't want to go more than necessary on your end on your end gap on your ring is because it's just bleeding pressure past the ring. You want to seal the cylinder as good as possible. That way you don't have blow by. You don't have problems with oil leaks because you can't control the blow by. And plus, anything that leaks past the rings is lost horsepower. So you want to keep that cylinder sealed the best possible. And the reason that for a bigger gap on the second ring than on the top ring is because whatever pressure leaks by this top ring here will actually get caught between the top and the second. So you want that second ring a little bit easier to relieve the cylinder pressure, and that way that ring doesn't flutter, because your compression is basically made with the top ring, and your second ring really doesn't do a lot of sealing. But what your second ring does, being that the edge is cut on a taper where it seals against the cylinder wall, it has a sharp edge at the bottom of it. The second ring's job is to help scrape the oil off the cylinder wall. Whatever the oil control ring doesn't get, that second ring will help to clean it, to pull that oil off the cylinder wall, to keep the engine from burning oil, smoking, causing detonation. On a lot of the newer stuff, they have the second ring is what they call a Napier cut, where it'll actually have a little notch at the bottom of the ring that helps to scrape the oil off the cylinder wall. I'll bring you back over to the bench and I'll make a little drawing so that you can kind of see what that is. Be right back. All right, I'm back. I decided to hold the camera by hand here, and I'm going to use a pencil, and I'm going to explain the difference between the top and the second ring. This is basically a side profile of the top ring. This is the top of the ring right here along this edge, and the top ring at the back side where it fits in the ring groove is cut on an angle like this here, and comes down flat and then comes across, and the face is a barrel shaped like so. This is a little bit exaggerated, but you can see it on a ring that hasn't had a lot of miles on it. When you pull it out, you can see the wear will be right in the center here. And the reason that they do this particular cut on the back side of the ring is your cylinder pressure comes down across the top of the ring and gets trapped behind the ring between the piston and the back side of the ring, and that will actually help push the ring out against the cylinder wall to help it seal. And then on your second ring, what I was talking about with the Napier cut is the top of the ring is flat and it comes back and is straight at the back side here, and it's angled the opposite way of what the top compression ring is. And that way when the piston is moving down in the cylinder, a little bit of pressure will get trapped on the back side here on the downstroke, and that will help to seal the ring against the cylinder wall. So then it's flat on the bottom. And the Napier cut rings have a little notch in it. It comes up and out on an angle like that there, and then back up straight. It's not completely straight, it's probably a little bit of an angle. And this sharp edge here is what scrapes the oil off the cylinder wall. Now if you have a non-Napier cut ring, it comes down like straight like this here and then comes back across, and it uses this bottom edge, this bottom corner right here. This bottom corner right here is what does the scraping, just to help pull a little bit more oil off the cylinder wall. Whatever is not controlled by the oil control ring, there's always a little bit of oil on there. Generally, a lot of your newer engines where they have a 1.5 millimeter top and second ring, some of the newer stuff even has a 1.2 millimeter top and second ring. Because the rings are so small, the tension is so light against the cylinder wall, they all use a Napier cut second ring to help control the oil. Finish filing all these rings, and I'm going to leave them in the bore. What cylinder that they're in now, I'm going to leave those in there, and then I'm going to assemble the rods and the pistons, get the piston rings on the pistons. I'll probably show you some of that, and then it'll be putting the crankshaft back in the block, putting the pistons in, tightening the rod bolts. I normally do not do a torque on the rod bolts. I use what they call a stretch method, and I will explain that, and I will see you all in a little while. Have a great day. Bye-bye.